I don't always play wizards, but when I do, I choose specialist. This is going to be a video requested by one of my subscribers asking, my main man, how do you do wizards in 3.0, 3.5, 3x, Pathfinder? Call it what you will, it's the same game. Now, when I do wizards, when I'm running a game, I am not one of the two people on planet Earth that likes the Vancian magic system. I know there are two of you out there, and one of you will probably watch this video and go, Vancian magic's great! Vancian magic is unmitigatedly the balls! It's trash, it's terrible, it's garbage, it's refuse, and you know that as well as I do. Now, that being pushed aside for a moment to the trash, in 3.5 particularly, let's examine that rule set. Well, when you advance in level as a wizard, you automatically spells like right in your mind. Now, there's a mechanic in there that says you have to actually learn spells, which is the coolest part of that whole magic system. You know, you take the old tome scrolls, and it's a gamble, right? Because you got to say, well, if I learn that spell, it's gone. That scroll is no more. I don't have a cool scroll of fireball that does 10d6. I only know how to cast a fireball now that does 5d6. This scroll could really have crushed and won us a battle. But instead, I have a spell that didn't quite get us to where we needed to go. But we got a little bit better over the long term because I had so many fireballs. However, you can only make that chance rolling your spellcraft once every level. In fact, it might actually be when you improve your ranks in spellcraft. Now that I think about it, it might not be once every level. You have to improve your ranks in spellcraft, which you can only do during a level upgrade. And at that point, you can make another roll with that scroll. You still have to have it to make that roll. You've learned more. You've come together. Now, how I handle that, if you roll a natural 1 at any point on trying to learn that spell, and remember, it might take you more than one try to learn that spell, which means more than one die, which means a continuous 5% chance that you roll a 1. Now, if you roll a 1, that spell is just one you cannot learn. You're like, oh, fly. I got this fly spell. I'm going to learn natural 1. You could never, ever learn fly. Write it down on your one side on your list. That is a spell forever beyond you. You cannot use it. You cannot even use the scroll. It's just something that you're not able to process, to use. Too bad. You know, for you when you get fly or fireball or detect locations, which I think is one of the most incredibly not detect location, was a detect locate object. That's what I'm thinking of. Second level divination spell. If you run a game that is not hack and slash, that is a role playing, an immersive, intense game, well, that spell sure as hell shouldn't be second level. That's a windfall right there. Game masters are most loath to want to give me that spell because it's going beyond. Because spells like that are answers. That spell answers a lot of questions. I love that spell. I like playing diviners. I enjoy them. A lot of people, they don't mess with diviners. But I think, while they don't have a lot in combat, if you're not playing a combat game, man, they have so many answers. They do so many interesting things that you could do and set up. And there's so many cool ways you could play a diviner, like that old gypsy oracle, or, you know, you could play them with like the chicken bones. You could play them with the tea leaves. You could play them scrying the stars, or scrying old coal burned ashes. A lot of cool things you can do with diviners. But let's talk about what I'm going to take away. Now, those spells that jump right in your brain, gone. That's stupid. That is clearly just a balancing act. Oh, well, you're out there in the wilderness adventuring, beating monsters to death. Clearly, your magical capacity rises from doing this. Yeah, I'm shrinking, because that idea is, first of all, the way ad&d to give you experience points would never, ever help a wizard. You'd be like, I am first level forever, because killing monsters does not increase my ability to understand the occult secrets of the universe. It doesn't. Not at all. Not at all. And furthermore, they've taken out the need for me to actually go and do what would honestly increase your experience, going and researching old ruins and learning the strange old languages, researching in modern libraries, under masters, exchanging with other cultists, taking books and prying secrets from them. Books you should not read, but you do, because you have to learn. And learn you do many things you did not wish. So, you have that idea gone. Now, the Vancian system of saying, first of all, I like the spell points. You can cast one first level spell, 1 spell point. You can cast one second level spell, 2 spell points. And when you get completely out of spells, I for a long time had done exactly what Pathfinder did. You can cast zero level spells as much as you want. However, for me, when you're out of spells, you don't have any more spells. You don't have any of those either. They're just not. You just can't do them. It's just not in the cards for you. Those spells require an almost insignificant amount of mystical energy. But when you're done, you're done. Uh, So you have those spell points, and you can cast any spell that you know, just like a sorcerer. Except you're not limited like a sorcerer. I'm 18th level. I know 1.5 spells. Oh, burning hand. Oh God, I singed my eyebrows off. I don't really know that spell yet. I only know half of burning hand. I did a point of damage to my eyebrows, and now they are gone because I'm a sorcerer and I'm completely useless. But I cast magic missile 917,000 times because I have dragon blood. That gives me magic missile, which is just ridiculous. But the style there, you can cast your spells, right? It's like animate rope. No one ever learns animate rope because animate rope is a freaking useless spell. Except one time in the campaign where you could do something awesome with animate rope that you didn't learn. Now you deny yourself a cool scene. Now for me, I don't ever want my players to be denied a possibility to be cool. I want to facilitate that. I want to make you think, remember what your spells are, and be able to act accordingly upon that. Not go, oh, well, I have to get here and write all these spells down. First of all, let me tell you this story. I played a character in an AD&D second edition game that eventually became a 21st level druid / 7th level cleric. Yes, there were some house rules involved there. Not a very good game. This one was 15 to 16 years old. And yes, I did play him all the way from first level. Jarklin Flynn, high elf druid in the Forgotten Realms. And he came all the way up there. It would take 40 freaking 5 minutes to do my spells. I'm not kidding. 21st level druid, 7th level cleric. That is a lot of spells. When you actually need to change them, like, oh, we're going to go over here and do this. I don't want to do this spell or this spell. I can't do this one. I don't want to do this one or this one. I don't want to do this one. So you have to constantly erase things, change things, get new paper. And I would remember multiple times I was go, stop, guys. We cannot continue. We cannot go there. I have to have this stuff done before we can make decisions. Because if we go in there and that scene indicates, well, I should have made this decision, and I'm like, well, that was the decision I was going to make. Well, that sounds bad. But do I jack myself there? Do I go with it? How does that look? It looks bad. And the rule is stated under that type of magic, you have to choose your spells because it limits your power. Okay? Well, I don't like that idea, but at the same time, you don't want the character to be grossly overpowered. So you make them learn their spells. If they roll a natural 1, ban list for life. Again, we talked about specialists. All wizards are specialists. All specialists are legal. Now, the specialists in D&D are kind of pathetic. It's like, well, I'm a diviner, but no, not really. I'm magic missile. Like, I thought you were a diviner, and you blasted me with 5 missiles to my nugget? Oh, I was sorted out directly like a punk. You know, it doesn't really make any sense. If you see, like, a movie, right, and that person's like, oh, I'm a diviner. You're like, oh, I'm looking for a gypsy and they can tell me some things or something. I'm not looking to get blasted in the mouth with fireball. I didn't know you was a fireball thrower. Oh, yes. Yes, I have fireball and magic missile and fly. No, I can't cast illusions and enchantment spells. No. I definitely will blast you in the mouth with fireball. So, it doesn't really make any sense, right? You're not really so much a specialist as just a wizard who's not that good at, like, a subject. You see what I'm saying? It's not... You're still way too gen ed. I don't like that. Particularly if you're saying, well, I'm going to have some kind of wizard option out there. But I don't really like that either. So let's not even talk about that. Talk about how I do it. Because that's what the video is about. It's about me. Where I say what I do. And you do whatever the hell you want with that. But you're a necromancer. You can only cast necromancer spells. No illusions, no enchantments, no vocations. I might slide you a couple cleric spells on the DL for that necromancer tip. I will certainly, under the OGL, we're not talking about the player's handbook here, brother. You can bring anything you want. As long as it's actually in a book that's not completely ridiculous, I'll let it come. Let's do it. Oh, you want that spell? No problem. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not just let you, at the beginning of the game, I might let you pick a couple. I will let you pick a couple, then I'll pick a couple, and, we'll go from there. But obviously, for me, I'm going to research. I'm going to say, oh, well, let's pick these spells. Let's put them over here. Let's, integrate these spells. You kill this cultist, and he has a spell book. You find some spells etched inside this ancient cave, painted in old blood or carved into the wall of these monolithic ruins. You go to an old academy, you train with a cult, whatever it is, however you get the spells. We'll work them into the game different ways so you can, begin to acquire certain things. I mean, I'm not going to force them into a situation. You might get jacked and be like, well, I'm like 4th level and I only have 1st level spells. Well, I guess you should have probably pushed the campaign in a way where you might have learned some spells, because I'm not just going to throw them in there to be ridiculous. And I think, that idea of getting the spells, jump into your head. It doesn't make any sense, man. Come on now, writer. Shame on you. That was the balls, and you know it. And you know it. So, when you're playing a wizard right now, so you can cast any of these spells. All you have are necromancer spells for a necromancer, but you can cast any of them. So I choose this one, this one, this one, this one. So it makes you got to think. Like, it means you have to think more, because you're like, I have to remember. Oh yeah, I have that spell, and then you're like, oh, you're all happy. Oh yeah, and I love when players go, oh yeah, and they remember, right, and then they grab and they look, and then they do it, and then they're so hyped up, and that sort of energy is infectious and contagious, and that's the kind of game I want to play. Remember, make your choices and decisions to predicate only one thing. What do you want the game to be? What do you want the game your players are playing? How do you want the game to go and handle? What kind of tone and mood and theme do you want to set? These are really important questions. These aren't like, well, by the way, no, these are questions number one. The rest of the stuff doesn't really matter. You need to facilitate your style of play with all your mechanical choices. Now, these are mechanical choices, but they influence your style of play, right? This wizard is completely different than the 3.5 wizard. It'll work just fine in your game. The players might go, oh, well, how come I can't play a necromancer that throws fireballs? Like, dude, you need to play an evoker if you're going to be throwing fireballs. Let's look at some literature with necromancers in it. I don't see them throwing no damn fireballs. This game is supposed to not be ridiculous. It's supposed to make sense in a fashion. He might have some kind of damaging, vile assault against your soul to hurt you, but he's not throwing a fireball, dude. You watch the movie, he's like, oh, I'm a vile necromancer. Fireball! You're like, dude, you ain't a vile necromancer. What's wrong with you? Booty. You would say that movie was as booty as a D&D movie. You don't want that. You want it to come off and seem credible. And the more credible it seems, the easier your job is going to be, the better people are going to say your game is. Like, oh yeah, that was the joint. I didn't really like playing that necromancer with restrictions at first, but then, man, it was so loosey-goosey. I was able to really get across what I wanted to do. I was able to use the spells. I wasn't like, oh, I had that spell sitting on my list, but I can't use it. The one time in the campaign I could use it. And you'll hear players bitch about that kind of thing. They'll be like, oh, because that scene could have been so cool. Why would you want a scene to be able to been so, but make that scene cool? Jumping, man. Nothing to deflate your players more than just sitting there like on the sidelines going, man, I can't do what's cool. I mean, that sucks, dude. I'm going to tell you right now, that sucks. There's no great explanation or defense. Someone's going to try to come up with something. There isn't, dude. That just sucks. When you could have been able to do something, but you just can't. Like, it's one thing if, like, you just forgot or something. That's just on you. But otherwise, that's a problem. Now, here's the other big clincher. I get people all the time to go, oh, I want to play a wizard in your game because of this. Every single time I run a game. Those same motherfuckers say, man, this idea of a wizard. Yeah, well, it's going to be tight. Because I like that. Oh, you're willing to do the work now that you have the idea, now that you see we're going to be playing with power. You want to play the idea. So I'm willing to give a wizard a little more flexibility, a little more bump in power, because I demand a lot out of them. You have spells, right? They have material components, verbal components, somatic components. I cast Magic Missile. Wow, that sucked, didn't it? Didn't it just suck? We just rolled like 3 4-siders. I did 9 damage. Your turn. That is horrible. Don't do that. Do not do that. Don't do that. Man, explain what the missiles look like. Explain the verbal components you say and make them the same every time. For me, you need to actually bring a little spell book. You may need to bring an extra notebook. Players in my game are required to bring notebooks, to write things down, to be able to remember things, to bring back to reference, to be able to bring plots together, and to bring back things that happened a year ago. Because I do not put arrows towards important things. If you miss it, you miss it. If it could have been cool, well, I guess you should have paid more attention. People ask me that all the time. Well, what if the players aren't paying attention? I guess that's a jack to you and them and get new players. Bottom line, that's a straight up answer on that. But when you're playing the wizard, right, and you actually have to get up and you act it out. You make your signs. You talk about how the energy begins to radiate and swell, and how sweat pours down your face and your eye twinkles, and as your other eye twitches, there's a twinkling, and the air itself seems to be full of rush of static electricity with a scent of rain and the gentle caress and touch, almost as if the grace of something ephemeral floating and touching against your body as this magical orb begins to appear that looks like a group of razor blades push together and they shine with a gleaming golden and silver glint as the razor wire pushes and protrudes out more, the longer the energy coalesces in your hand, and then they explain how it flies out. Particularly with magic missiles, I love this effect. They fly out and then have the other like the NPC. Oh, because of course you're gonna try to dodge it, right? Magic missiles don't get dodged, son, but you can dodge it for a minute. Just like those little heat-seeking missiles, you're like, oh well, oh I got it, oh, got it that time. You know, so it flies across. They have to wait. Oh, it's coming back, and it just stops it, and then it begins to fly back, right? And then they again, and let them role play it out. Let them control the NPC. The NPC is going to try to move. If they want to move them, yeah, that makes sense. We've already determined the result is going to be 9 damage. But allow them a little leeway in describing that. Let them take it. Take the burden off yourself. And let them do it, man. They'll have fun with that. And it's less you have to do. And you can already be prepping and preparing what you're going to do over here for your next NPC that's going to move against them in that combat. For your next player, whatever is next on the initiative order. You're able to do that while they're describing. They're having fun with that. And they're engaging. And you're always saying the same verbal components. You're always saying the same somatic components. You're always bringing out the same material components. All of a sudden, they mean something. You have a player scouting around me. Oh, I got to find some. They'll ask you just ridiculous questions. Are there any cows out of this farm country? Have you seen any cows? Well, no, you haven't. But then maybe 3 days later, oh, actually, over there, you see some fences, and it may look like there might be some cows over here. Jumping over the fence, running up to look to find some cow hair or bull dung, some mushrooms under the cow, whatever it is they want to find for their spells is wonderful. And for me, I let players like kind of play with material components a little bit. Maybe you're like, well, damn, I don't have I've got spider climb here, but I don't have a live spider. And you're like, well, actually, you see a cricket over there. And they're like, and they down the cricket, right? But maybe we tweak it a little bit, and that spell does something a little unexpected, a little bit different, allowing a little flexibility. Spells in D&D are very, very rigid, and that's a big turnoff to the magic. They're almost really goofy science in some ways, to be honest about it. But if you allow a little bit more flexibility and allow that to be a catalyst that creates it, allowing an effect, but an effect that's a little bit different, you can really kind of light and spice your game up to a very interesting level. So that is how I handle Wizards and 3.0, 3.5 in Pathfinder. Let me know if you have any more questions about that. Let me know what you think, how that's going to roll and work in your game. Try it out. See it. The flexibility it gives you, the dynamic aspect it gives you is really well worth it. And the additional role playing is always wonderful. But you can do that with your generic wizards as well. Say, oh, look, you have to write out a spell, but you have to let me know what you're going to do. It's just not 4 damage. For me, I say, if you don't cast a spell, you didn't cast a spell. You need to let me know what you're doing. Or, it's somebody else's turn and mark some spell points off. How about that? So that's how I do it. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. Play, sucker!